customer service does not have to suck. Whether you live in Jamaica, you live in the US, you live in the UK, you live in Canada, you live in Africa, it doesn't matter. Customer service should be good, and it can be good. And it can be good without a lot of effort from the individual or from the organizations that these persons are employed to. Now, I'm going to share 3 real-life scenarios that happened to me, I'd say relatively recently, and how I would have approached it differently. But, you know, the video, although I'm going to talk about the scenarios, I want you to realize that I am not big on complaining. I don't believe in complaining, by the way. And I also don't believe in problem identifying. I have learned over the years to become a problem solver. It's one of the reasons why I just posted this on social media, which says every successful person that I know believes the system is unfair and complains about it. Every successful person knows the system is unfair, but learns how to succeed despite it, because it starts with our mindset. So this channel, Odetta Unedited, will never be around or based on or be built on complaining and problem identifying. We don't have time for that. We need to be solutions oriented, and this video will not be any different. Now, why am I even qualified to talk about customer service? I have been working in customer service for over 25 years, and I've been delivering service, of course not me directly, but managing teams of thousands of employees, delivering service to mostly US Fortune 500 companies like the Amazons, the Microsofts, the AT&T, the United Healthcare, MetLife of the world. But, you know, some of the biggest names out there, I've had an opportunity to serve in one way or the other by making sure that our staff members were equipped with what they needed to succeed and to deliver flawless customer service so that we could achieve our quality metric, which was, when we started in this business 25 years ago, 99% quality. That was the expectation, which means that out of every 100 persons that we talk to or that our staff members talk to, only one of that 100 can be allowed to have an issue or to be upset with us. So I'm coming from that perspective. So let me tell you about the first scenario, and then we'll also talk about how I would recommend that this be resolved. And if you have experienced poor customer service and it's somebody you know, you can share this video with them. If it's an organization, you can share it with them so they can get their employees to watch, because everybody can do this. It's not rocket science. The first scenario was indirect customer service. So let me tell you what happened. So I went on the road to pick up a few items, mostly ground provisions, because I like to touch and feel my yam and my banana and my plantain before I buy them. Now, I was going into Price Mart to pick up some juice while I was there. I was in the vicinity. And when I go on the road to run errands, I wear jumpers or, you know, clothing that looks like this. I'll pop something up here on screen so that you can see kind of how I dress to go on the road. My husband says sometimes that I look like I'm homeless. I don't agree. I think I'm comfortable. And when you're comfortable in your own skin, you don't try to dress to impress anymore. I've been there and I've done that. Right now, it's comfort over style. So that look allows me to blend in a lot more. I don't get hiked up prices because of how I look. And I prefer to dress that way when I'm going to run errands. So I parked my vehicle inside of the parking lot at Price Mart, but I saw some nice plantains on the way driving in that I wanted. So I walked back all the way out through the gate and on the roadside to shop. That's my preferred way to shop. That way I don't get prices that are associated with what I'm driving, right? So when I asked the vendor what the price was for the plantain, she told me it was 80 Jamaican dollar per finger. That is converted. I can't convert it now. I'll pop it up on screen how much that is in US dollars, since most of you watching live in the US. I was fine with that price. I don't make it a point of duty to haggle vendors on the street because, like me, there was a time when I didn't have any opportunities. I was born into humble beginnings, and I don't believe that we should get people who are trying, who are starting out, who are trying to hustle their way to a better life to give us discounts. Do that when you go into the big stores. And I ask every big store or every established business, especially the ones that make a lot of profit, for a discount. And you know what I do with that discount? Like the other day, I went into Max's. I was able to get a discount. You turn around and you tip the staff that exhibit good customer service, and that was helpful to you. So anyway, I'm not gonna haggle the price. $80 was fine, and I decided I'm gonna get, you know, a Hannah planting, but I didn't want to take out my money there on the street. So I said to her, when I'm leaving, I'll drive by, just put this hand aside for me. Went into Price Mart, did what I was doing, and I came back out. Now this time I was driving out. So my homeless look, as my husband said, or my jumper and my informality and my Crocs and all of that and my headband, that was being hidden obviously by this vehicle that I was driving. And it looks like the vendor didn't realize it was me. So when I pulled up to her feet and I say, give me that planting, you know, or the Handa planting. Can I have the Handa planting? And she quoted me a price that was almost 3 times what she had told me when I'd walked out there looking like I was homeless. And initially I thought to myself, there's a credibility issue here. There's an issue of honesty here. Do I really want to buy from this person? And I say, you know what, let me use it as an opportunity to coach them, because everybody makes mistakes. Everybody deserves a second chance. And I said to her, I put the window down all the way and lift up myself so she could see my body. And I say, I'm the same lady that you just told the planting was $80. How is it now that the planting is almost, well, it was 3 times, because it was close to $200 per finger for the planting coming from $80. And she said, oh, me never know say you. Or translated, I didn't know it was you. It shouldn't matter. Because when you're honest and you're ethical, and let me tell you something, I don't play around with my blessings from God. I believe that when you live your life a particular way, you get more blessings. When you're honest and you're ethical, when especially nobody's watching, is when I believe we get the most blessings. And I said that to her in different words. I just said to her, listen, what you're doing isn't right, and you can lose customers by doing this. And I said, now I feel guilty that you actually wanted to make that and I'm going to pay you less, when that's not really the case. And, she understood what I was saying. And now we're friends, because when I go now, I say hi to her. And the other day I was buying more plantains from her and roast breadfruit. And she said to me, somebody else was there shopping, and she was telling the person that, listen, this lady teach me a valuable lesson, and I've learned it, and I've learned it well. And I say, you realize more blessings coming your way? And she said, of course. My phone is ringing as usual. Let me stop this. And she said, of course, but I didn't stop to validate if more blessings was coming her way, but that's how God works. Anyway, that was the first experience. She learned from it, and I explained to her how she would be perceived by someone who is buying, who she's hiking up the price based on what they look like, what they drive, who they are, and how that inconsistency can cause people not to trust her. She got it. And going forward, she's obviously applying those principles. The second scenario, now this one is going to be a teaching moment, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to diffuse a customer who is upset. Now, a lot of persons in customer service, they first choose to be defensive instead of showcasing empathy or sympathy. And I know that, especially in the Jamaican culture, empathy and sympathy is not a natural part of who we are, right? We're not quick to say, I'm sorry. We're not quick to show sympathy. As a matter of fact, if you say to somebody that, you lost your relative, instead of saying, I'm sorry to hear, what can I do to help? The first question they ask, how him dead? How did he die? There's that lack of empathy and sympathy. So culturally, it's one of the reasons why customer service is bad, but it doesn't explain why it's bad in other countries. So I'm not gonna, say that that's the issue, because I've had similar experiences elsewhere. Anyway, this situation happened now a few months ago when one of my staff members had, procured a vehicle. Now, this was a brand new vehicle, and this staff member they made the sacrifice. They wanted to get a brand new vehicle because, they've been around persons who bought used vehicles and saw the issues. And this person is young, and they didn't want the problems that go with buying a used vehicle. Now, the vehicle was delivered, and less than a week after, the vehicle started to have an issue, which could be considered a major issue because it's in the, oh my God, I'm again, premenopause brain. It's not the trunk of the car, is the back, the bonnet, below the bonnet. So, it's in the engine related part, but it wasn't an engine issue, but it was related. Now, my staff member, like I said, she's young. She spoke to them about it. They were giving her the runaround. I said to her that with that kind of issue, they need to extend the warranty on the vehicle because that issue could pop up later on, and she doesn't want it to be her expense. She spoke to them. They were still giving her the runaround. So I decided to intervene. So I asked her, who is she talking to? And I decided to reach out to the person. And I said, the first person who answered the phone, I said to them, listen, the vehicle is brand new. The sacrifice was made to procure a brand new vehicle to avoid issues like this. I know the brand new vehicle is having an issue that could present long-term issues. What's your solution? My recommendation is that you extend the warranty. We're not asking you to give us a new vehicle, just fix it and extend the warranty for this particular issue, not for everything. In the event it comes back up, the buyer, who is my staff member, is protected. No, we don't do that. We don't do that. And I said, all right, it's obvious that you have limitations in terms of what you're able to do or not. Can I speak to a manager? And the person said, okay. They put me on hold. Then they came back and say, everybody is busy. Nobody can talk to me now. I said, can somebody call me back? I'm not sure about that because we're all busy. So I said, okay, I'm not coming off the phone until we talk to a manager. I have time and I have patience. And he came back. Nobody's still not busy, miss, and eventually he hung up the phone on me. Like one time he said hello, and I said hello, and he realized I was still there, and the gentleman hung up the phone on me. Anyway, I called back because I had time, and the principle of the matter is what I'm defending here. I'm no Marcus Garvey, but whenever there's an opportunity for me to help somebody to be better, then I'm going to take it. And this was one such opportunity. Also, I was helping my staff member to prevent future issues. Call back. When I called back, somebody else answered the phone. I asked for the sales representative that my staff member was speaking to. They came on the phone, and I said to her, this is happening. Can you extend the warranty? And the first thing she said was, this is something that happens normally. New cars have problems too. Whether it's a BMW or Benz, and they listed all these premium brand cars and saying they all have problems. Now I said to her, no, that's not the case. Because I've driven those premium brand cars. I'm driving one now, and I never had this issue. I said, all you had to do was to, instead of being defensive and making excuses, just say, I'm sorry this is happening. I don't have the latitude to extend the warranty. Let me talk to management to see what's possible, and I'll get back to you. Again, I sincerely apologize. That you don't deserve this. I know you've made the sacrifice. They would, in essence, be diffusing me. So if I was the kind of person who didn't have control over my emotional intelligence, and I was upset and talking loud, which, by the way, I don't do. I talk about how you need to manage your emotional intelligence. in my book, because I believe that when you lose your temper and you lose control, you give people power over you, and nobody should have power over me. So I'm not that person. But if I was shouting and, being upset, and she said, I apologize. We take full responsibility. We know the sacrifices that, persons make to procure a vehicle from us. And we acknowledge that, and we're going to do everything in our power to make this right. Please give me some time and I'll get back to you to see what's possible. She would have diffused me immediately if I was loud and boisterous. But instead, she chose to be defensive. And you know what the irony of all this is? And I don't even know if irony is the right word. I know the owner of this company. I have access to the owner of this company. But I was so fearful of escalating, because I never want anyone to lose their job because of me escalating or sharing with someone, or get compromised in any way, because as my granny used to tell me, you don't want people eye water upon you. Meaning, if they have children and you end up reporting them or escalating them and they lose their job and then they can't feed their kids, I don't want those kids' tears to be on me. So I always choose to avoid escalating, even though I have access and the ability to do so, and try to work with those who are there. When she said that and she got defensive, I said, can I speak to a manager? She said, yes. She came back, she said, the manager is not available. I said, can the manager call back? And she did this time say, yeah, the manager can call you back. Now, when the manager called me back, the manager was on the same trip. This happens to a new vehicle. I said, no, I drive a particular vehicle. We've been driving this vehicle for years. Even before that, I drove another kind of vehicle, and I've never had these issues. And even if I did, I know they wouldn't have approached it this way, which is why I stick to the company that I buy vehicles from. And this is a large car dealership that's very popular here in Jamaica. I was very disappointed, and to this day, they have not extended the warranty for that particular issue. They resolved the issue, and it just left a bad impression in a young person's mind who has worked so hard to procure a new vehicle to avoid these issues, and now is ending up with these same issues that she was trying to avoid. When it comes to customer service, we need to stop being defensive. We need to take responsibility. We need to drop the excess ego. We need to be apologetic. And 90% of the time, you'll be able to diffuse the person on the other line or in front of you to start seeing things more rationally. It's not hard. It's not rocket science. Stop being egotistical and stop being defensive. Take responsibility. Now, I know I'm not going to buy from this dealership. And it wasn't just because of this. It was because we had other experiences with them. And it's unfortunate because I have a lot of respect for the person who owns it. But there just has to be better, better service, especially when it comes to you spending so much money on a vehicle. Now, the last scenario that I'm going to share is one that happened in the US. And I want to make sure I point out that while I live in Jamaica and a lot of my experiences are isolated or based on Jamaica, customer service is bad almost everywhere. It's just that it's to another degree, I feel, in certain places. So this one is with the brand Sephora. And for those, especially women, you'll know Sephora if you buy makeup or cosmetics. So I ordered a package for Sephora, from Sephora. It was, I think it was a skin moisturizer, can't remember. Anyway, I've been ordering from Sephora for years. Almost everything I use except my main moisturizer I get from Sephora. So this was a skin moisturizer. It was actually a gift for someone. And it was related to a birthday. So, it was time sensitive. Anyway, the order wasn't delivered to my address. And I use an address in the US that is set up as a freight forwarder. But again, it's like my home address then because of the way I use it. And it's associated with somebody that I know very well. Sephora has a policy that says that they don't ship to freight forwarders, and if your order is delivered, they are not responsible for you receiving it. So I understand that, and I know I do so by taking a risk. Anyway, I order the product, normally get all my products on time, no issues. This product wasn't delivered. I reached out to Sephora on chat, and I said to them, I haven't received this product, and it's time sensitive. When can I get it? And the customer service representative, again, didn't apologize or anything. She just went straight to you ordered it and use a freight forwarder as the recipient. We don't ship to freight forwarders and all of that. I said, please allow me to correct you. You do ship to freight forwarders. Your policy says if you deliver to the freight forwarder and the customer doesn't receive the order, you are not liable. All I'm asking is evidence that the package was delivered. If it was delivered, then I'll take full responsibility. I said, just give me a confirmation that somebody signed for it. Give me something, because we have cameras there and I can tell you that nobody from Sephora came to deliver the package. So just show me evidence that it was delivered, because that's what your policy requires you to do. No, I don't care what you say. It's a freight. And she went on and on and on. And I said to her, may I speak to a supervisor? The supervisor is not going to tell you anything different. It's our policy and all of that. And she insisted, and I'm there chatting, of course, it's not a phone call. And she insisted on not patching me through the supervisor. So then I said to her, are you not going to patch me through? She said they're trained not to escalate issues that are known and that's driven by their policy. And I said, what card can I draw on this lady? And I hate to do this, but I felt like I didn't have another option. And I said to her, listen, I have 1 million subscribers on YouTube, which is my other channel, that is Rockstar Academy or Odetta Rocket Car. And I've been buying from Sephora for many years. I've talked about Sephora on my channel and how persons can make affiliate income when they promote Sephora's products. I said, I don't want to have to resort to this, but I will create a video about this issue if that's the only way that I can get a manager to talk to me. Immediately, she patched in a manager. You see how things are? It's truly unfortunate that I had to take that route, but what else do you do when you're in this situation? Social media has its downside, but it also has its upside. The manager came on, we're sorry, we have no evidence that this order was delivered. We're going to refund you immediately. Within seconds, my money was back in PayPal, and I went back to Sephora and ordered the product because I know it was a one-off situation. I don't hold it against them. I know they don't own these customer service representatives, and one bad apple is not a representation of what the company is. But I'm just saying, all she had to do was to diffuse me. I am sorry, you have not received your order. We have a policy that says this, and make sure she knows the policy better than I know the policy. And then say, okay, we're going to check to see if the order was actually delivered. But please realize that if it was delivered and you didn't get it, you have to be responsible for that based on your policy. Do you understand, Odetta? Yes, I do. The issue would be a non-issue. She would come back to me because she's going to go check the policy and say, okay, we have evidence that it was delivered on this day, this time. We would check our cameras, and I would have to own up to that lost project and take the cost. But because she didn't do that and she went to defensive, ego, and again, she knows that because I'm using a freight forwarder that I'm not in the US and I may not know the law, or she may be able to take advantage of me. I think she allowed that to get to her head, and it's unfortunate, but it's the reality of the situation. And you know what the unfortunate thing is? Many people end up making decisions to not do business with these organizations when their staff members act like this. So I'll end the video by saying this. Customer service does not have to suck. If you are in customer service, do better. Be better. Take it personal. Don't exhibit ego and don't be defensive. Try to put yourself in the person's shoe and pretend it was you on the line and treat the person on the line how you would want to be treated. Now, I know for a fact that some persons are arrogant when they're calling in. They have a bad temper. They're shouting at you. They're being disrespectful. And that it's tempting for you to lash out and get back at them. But remember what I said earlier? You're giving them power over your emotions. Don't give anybody that kind of power. Diffuse them, keep your job, especially if you like it, and get them off of the phone by doing what is expected of you. In the end, you're going to be the one to feel much better about the situation. And for the companies there who have a one-off employee or 2 employees, just, try to work with them. But for those companies, like the one I spoke about earlier, where every single employee I spoke to had the same defensive, egotistical, this can happen to any car approach, you need to do better from a customer service perspective. Start some customer service training for your staff and help them to be better, because it doesn't always come to everybody naturally to be empathetic and sympathetic. That said, I hope you learned something from this. Share it with anybody who you think can learn from it as well. And later, we talk again.